Allora, facciamo un bel applauso a Teresa e Anna Scardovelli. Anna si è iscritto misto per Radio Programmatic. Grazie. E oggi abbiamo passato in rassegna vari protagonisti di questo scenario dell'Advanced TV, dai broadcaster fino a YouTube, passando per Netflix, insomma ne abbiamo visti passare diversi sul palco, ma c'è un'altra categoria che si sta affacciando su questo mondo in maniera altrettanto importante e sono i produttori di device, lo sappiamo, poteva forse mancare il più importante al mondo? No, ovviamente, e quindi vi prego di accogliere con un bel applauso direttamente dalla Spagna, l'Head of Sales Italy and Spain di SamsungAds, Beatriz Pérez. Hi Beatriz.
Grazie Simone.
Lei farà lo speech in inglese, però parla un bellissimo italiano, quindi almeno un assaggino ce lo regalerà. Sì. Beatriz, io stage is yours.
Buon pomeriggio a tutti, grazie di essere qui con noi oggi per parlare della CTV e delle molte opportunità per le brand. Purtroppo la presentazione è un po' tecnica, è molto più facile per me di fare all'inglese. No, sorry, but I'm going to do it in English. Let's get started then, speaking about CTV opportunities. First of all, us in Samsung, as TV manufacturers, we can see what viewers are watching, and we know that our Samsung TV users all over Europe, all over the world, like to stream. 82% in Europe of Samsung TV users do streaming, and this number grows year on year, last year up to 21%. Before we get into the streaming world, let's define a little bit all the different acronyms around streaming and CTV, because there's quite a few. Starting with SVOD, which means supported subscription video on demand. That's a video on demand that people pay for, basically Netflix, Prime, Apple TV+, Disney, now in Italy. Then we have the AVOD platforms, VOD as well, but financed with advertising money, usually no fee attached to that. And YouTube or Paramount Plus would be one of the main players. And then part of AVOD is fast, but it's a different thing. It's free ad-supported streaming TV. So from a user perspective, it's very like traditional TV channels, but with the digital targeting capabilities. And among those, certain ones that like Samsung TV+, Pluto, Rakuten are the main ones. And then we have the VOD, which is broadcaster VOD. That's mainly the traditional TV players that have VOD platforms as well. So looking a little bit at the landscape of SVOD and the evolution, we see how in 2011 the growth really started, and not only for the number of players, but also for the size of the business that's represented by the size of the bubbles. And basically the revenue here comes from the subscription. So we see there's many apps in this environment, but most of the users worldwide are concentrated in just a few. Just to name like the most important ones, Netflix, Amazon, Disney, HBO, and then in every different market there will be one or two local strong ones. In Italy, for instance, we would have Now. And if we look at the AVOD landscape, we see how it started growing a little bit later, around 2015, with many players arriving, and also the size of the bubble here represents the ad spend. We have to say that in the US, the ad spend in fast channels is already like a mainstream media, and we think that is something that is definitely coming to Europe and of course to Italy. Same as in the SVOD arena, there's many players, but most of the users are concentrated in just a few, and some of those would be YouTube, but also Samsung TV+. So I think we all agree that from a user perspective, TV has never been more powerful. We never had, as consumers, more choices, more flexibility, more capability to watch whatever we want and whenever we want. And this change that the consumers have already done, the advertising industry has not yet come to the same point. So there's already some investment around CTV, fast channels, SVOD, VVOD, etc. But we are not in the same level as the consumers are. So let's try to think about what makes TV advertising great. Because for advertisers, TV has always been like the kill media. And this has happened for several reasons. Here we can see just a few. And all of those are true. TV has a huge reach like no other media. It's brand-safe content, it's quality content. The ads are, like in digital, we would say, high completion rates. And while this is all true for linear TV, for traditional TV, this is also true for fast TV, for fast channels, for many of the CTV solutions. There are some misconceptions around connected TV that also affect fast channels, and that's what we'll be most concentrating on for the rest of the afternoon, to go through them and try to understand that while it might have been true in the very beginning, it's no longer true, and CTV is here to prove its value. So I think the main and the first misconception we need to face is the lack of scale. We sometimes hear, yes, CTV is great, but there's not enough scale to use as TV. That's not really true. It's not true anymore. Here we are just looking at the number of devices that Samsung only has in the different European markets. We see in Italy there's almost 7 million devices. This is devices, not people. So if you take into consideration the average number of people per household, this would be around 20 million people in Italy. So this is a big number. And all these devices are ad-enabled, and they all have Samsung TV Plus, our fast channels app, pre-installed, absolutely free for all Samsung users to use. So scale is there. And what is these 7 million, almost 7 million devices watching? We see in Samsung, this is Samsung Universe, it's not the whole Italy, but as we saw with the previous number, this is a very relevant number, that 45%, so almost half of the time that the viewers have the TV on, they watch streaming content. And the other half, a little bit more, linear content. So streaming is almost as big as linear already today in Italy. In other European markets, and of course in the US, streaming is already quite larger than linear, and we really believe that this will also happen in Italy soon. And we could think that this 45% of the time that our users spend watching streaming content, they basically watch Netflix or Prime, but that's not true. Those were the first arriving, but now the AVOD apps, so the apps like Samsung TV Plus funded with advertising, where you can reach your consumers, are growing and growing. So in 2022, it represents 36% of the time spent watching streaming, the AVOD models. This year, at the beginning of this year, and we certainly hope this will keep growing, together with the VVOD, which also have ads, is almost 40% AVOD, 5% SVOD, so 45% of the time spent watching streaming, you can reach those people while they are streaming with advertising. So there's no longer Netflix only or Prime only. And even so, in the near future, there will be quite a lot of ads around these SVOD platforms anyway. So in terms of reach, in terms of share, we saw like how the AVOD apps were growing, but in terms of reach, they are already almost at the same level of SVOD. In Italy, almost 75% of Samsung users do watch AVOD platforms. So scale, as we said, is no longer a problem. Another myth around CTV is the quality content. For viewers, content is content. They don't really care where is it. They have to go to an SVOD platform, to a linear channel, or to an AVOD platform. SVOD platforms have always been known for high quality content, and that's absolutely true. I think they really help the TV industry to increase the level of quality. But that has not happened with AVOD, that there's still some perception around AVOD that the quality of the content is not as high. And we are talking here about connected TV within that fast channels. We are not talking about online video. So this is absolutely professional content in Italy. In Samsung TV Plus only, there's more than 100 channels. where we can see international premium brands like Euronews or BBC or Pluto channels, but also very local important franchises like Radio Italia, Sport Italia, La Siete. So we have content for all family, kids, travel, lifestyle, news. The content is here, the quality is here, and also the variety. Another of the misconceptions around CTV that we hear a lot from the agencies and also from the advertisers is the ad frequency. And we hear a lot that it's great to have such a big variety of content, but with so many channels, app platforms, how do we really control the frequency? Well, for us, of course, I think there's been a lot of progress in this area with the DSP solutions, with the third-party trackers, but for us in Samsung, since we are able to understand what every consumer is watching, that also includes ads, so we are able to control the frequency and just serve the ad to the people that did not watch the ad in linear TV. We have brought here 2 examples of 2 campaigns that we had recently in 2 different European markets, 2 different brands. One is Vodafone and the other is Nissan. And here there's 4 blocks. You see the first 2 ones represent the traditional viewer, and the other 2 ones in the left here, they represent the new audiences. In light blue, we see the reach that the linear TV had within those targets. And in pink, we see the reach that Samsung TV Plus added to those campaigns. So even though those 2 campaigns happen in 2 different markets, the results are quite consistent. We see how in the 2 first segments, the traditional viewers, what we call the heavy linears and the medium linears, TV is absolutely an amazing media to use. The reach is huge. Around 90%, around 70%, even more in those 2 segments. But if we move to the other 2, represented by the new audiences, TV is no longer enough if you want to reach these people in the main screen of the house. You need to use CTV solutions. You need to go for fast channels. Here we see like light linear are represented by people that watch less than 6 hours per month of traditional TV, and the other bucket is OTT exclusive, people that do not watch at all traditional TV anymore. We've been listening to people saying what they watch, and I think that this is quite consistent with what we have listened till now. It's like many of us that are no Gen Z will be between light linear and medium linear. So today, if you really want to be effective in your media plan and you want to reach the new audiences, you have to include different media in TV. And same as happened with the content, we believe that the viewers perceive ads no matter where they see it. They don't have in their mind this AVOD, VVOD, SVOD, linear, like we have as professionals. So we were quite convinced that the ad perception was very good in AVOD in fast channels. But to prove that, we ordered a very thorough independent study last year in the UK, and those were the results. In general, the perception of advertising is pretty much the same in AVOD, VVOD, or traditional TV. It's even slightly better within AVOD. This might be due to the fact that there's less advertising, and thanks to our data-driven targeting capabilities, we are able to serve more segmented, more relevant ads. But it's basically a very similar perception. And in this study, we also asked if they would be willing to see ads in exchange for free content. And this is quite consistent with the presentation we saw a few minutes ago from TITS. Almost 70% of the people responded that yes, they would be very willing to have ads in exchange for free content. And 63% of them said that ads are okay as long as they are relevant to them. So this places CTV and fast channels in a great space because we are able to deliver segmented advertisers. So not same ad at the same time for everyone. And ad viewability, It's something that we also sometimes have to deal with, the perception, and I think this might come from the beginning where CTV was kind of messed with online video. So ad viewability is something that, at least in fast channels, is absolutely exactly the same as in traditional TV. Because for a user, the experience is the same. So the way you see your ads is 100% viewable in the big screen, full screen, with the sound on. The ads are not skippable. We call them mid-rolls or pre-rolls. In TV, they are called spots, but from a user perspective, they are exactly the same. And completion rates, like in TV, are above 90% because the only way to miss an ad is to change the channel or to turn off the TV. So basically, all these misconceptions around CTV are definitely no longer applicable to fast channels. So we really believe that as an industry, we have to challenge our old assumptions and evolve the same way the consumers have done. So CTV is growing, but I think we still need to make an effort to match what consumers are doing, and as professionals, try to reach our audience wherever they are. That can be linear, that can be SVOD, now it can be possible, it can be fast, there's several things that need to be contemplated in a media plan, so it's no longer traditional TV as before. And the risk of not doing so, the risk of still continuing considering TV in silos, like this is a small part of the budget can go to CTV, this can go to linear, this can go to pay, is to really lose a big percentage of the audience, the new audiences that in Italy today represent 40%. So there's a 10% of people that no longer watch linear at all, and 30% that watch less than 6 hours. Then from an advertising perspective, it's very hard to reach them with the right frequency. And to end up the presentation, let me just give you a quite beautiful and true quote that, of course, is not mine. Content is still the king, but definitely data is the new kingdom. The combination of TV high-quality content together with the data-driven possibilities that the CTV has is here and is ready for advertisers to start using it to the next level. Grazie.
Grazie Beatriz, grazie per essere stata con noi.